Right Honourable Speaker, you just informed the House a few minutes that the report that is being read by the Chairman, Committee of Foreign Affairs, was uploaded a fortnight ago. However, Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Foreign Affairs is not in the House. Wouldn't it be procedural right when they are presenting such an important report to have the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the House so that issues that come up are handled immediately?
Are we going to stop legislating because of inefficiency of ministers? Yes, tourism, trade?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And so also the reason why we put in our rules of procedure 220, so that actions taken by the House, whether the minister is there or not, will be acted on and reported back to the House. So while we would have desired that the minister be in the House, now that it's not there, we would request that we continue. We are capturing, government is here, and then also the rule requires the minister to come back and report to the House on the actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you finalize?
Certainly, Right Honourable Speakers, just one more page. Foreign exchange losses. The mission spends in Great British pounds. The entitlement, salaries, contracts, and commitments are still indicated in pounds. But the actual mission budget, just like other missions, is prepared and approved in Uganda shillings. It is, however, noted that over time, the shilling often depreciates against the foreign currencies, hence leading to a loss on foreign exchange and eventually affecting the mission's budget and operations. Budget ceilings and recurrent budget shortfalls. Funding of the mission has greatly been affected by the budget ceilings and recurrent shortfalls. It was observed that while the mission's requirements keep increasing every year, the approved budget for the respective years doesn't keep pace. The mission budget was cut from 6 billion during the financial year 2021-22 to 700 million to 6,150 million in financial year 2020-2023. This financial year, 2022-2023, the total deficit for critical items is 733,950,000, while the total budget shortfall is 1,560,570,000. Finally, general recommendations. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, in conjunction with the Minister of Public Service, should ensure that the following staff are deployed at the missions. First is the education attaché, commercial attaché, labor attaché, and tourism attaché. This is basically to take advantage of the opportunities availed in the United Kingdom. Secondly, Government of Uganda should provide funds to enable establishment of official representation of Uganda in Ireland by establishing a diplomatic mission in Dublin with initial minimum staffing. Thirdly, Minister of Finance should review and consider for inclusion in the ministry's annual budget 2022-3 the priority budget proposals submitted by the missions to enable them to effectively discharge their mandate. And finally, Government of Uganda should enhance on all foreign service allowances. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I do beg to submit or lay the report on table. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member, for representing the committee. Honorable Pollard, thank you so much. And members, when you look at these issues that are cross-cutting, it's not about the UK embassy alone. It's all over. The allowances that are given to these people out there, when they change them, they exchange what he's talking about, the foreign exchange losses. They pay them in Uganda shillings, and when they exchange, it comes to very little money. Those people are expected to be paid a little higher, but what they get is really less compared even to the cost of living in those countries. So as a country, those are, it's about the image of Uganda. You need to look at that. The issue of releases. Just imagine somebody is living in Russia. We appropriate money here, but no money is released. How do you expect that person to live in such a country? These people need the money for them to be able to operate. So you need to look at these missions like the way you look at the account of Parliament, because they represent this country out there. I was asking somebody in Russia, how much do you earn as an allowance? And I was surprised. I said, maybe I would rather be in Bukedia than being in Russia. Because in Bukedia, I can go and dig and get money. But when you look at the allowance these people are getting, it's not really something that can push anybody to go out there. And then most of our buildings that are out are depleted. These buildings, when you look at them, are really not worthy, saying these are our buildings. So, honorable members, you've heard. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I am opening a debate for only 10 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the Chair for the report. But of course, let us believe the mere absence of ministers of foreign affairs, definitely our foreign missions have to be like that. Because this, on the other papers are released the day before. And every member, minister, we all have iPads and information to access information about what will take place tomorrow. But right now, Speaker, we need more time for foreign missions. We must know the purpose of creation of foreign missions. The moment we discover that, we shall do what is required by our country. Two, when you talk about a charter, what's the purpose of a charter? If you cannot review a charter for over 10 years, then that's not a charter. What are the goals, objectives, aims, and achievements that we receive from the foreign mission? We have also under PAC, right now, Speaker, we invested these missions. We know the challenges, but let us take comparison between other East African states, Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, and see how they manage their foreign missions and compare ourselves with those missions. The challenge we have here, and this is factual, our foreign missions became political missions. We need people with career guidance. There's one member, I think is His Excellency, he was a Minister of Internal Affairs some time back, Honorable Baba. He raised the serious issues here when we were idealizing somebody I don't remember very well. We have all the capacity, but is there willingness from government, Madam Prime Minister, to give power and energy to these foreign missions? We have a lot of wealth in America. Look at our Uganda house. This is next to a UN headquarters. And they were hiring that building. But because of mismanagement and not giving care to the foreign missions, we are losing money. In Washington, we have a big house earning us $60,000 per month. But all the money disappears mysteriously. So I think right now, Speaker, we have to give more attention. But definitely, you know the type of government running in this country, that's the way they can run government. They cannot go beyond that. They have failed. And they will fail whatever can earn us money. We need the foreign income from foreign missions. We need tourists. But all that work is done through foreign missions. And fortunately, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Chair, who the Chair of Foreign Affairs Committee, is well educated in foreign affairs. because I know where he worked from before he came to Parliament, and thank you very much, but it's very painful.
Thank you. Government, I hope you're taking note of matters raised by members. Ethics. Honorable Sabah Buturo.
Madam Speaker, 20 years ago, I was the chairman of the Committee of Parliamentary and Foreign Affairs Committee. The committee then combined those two, presidential and foreign affairs. And one of our concerns at the time, and having traveled quite a lot to our missions, was exactly the issues that our colleague here is raising. 20 years later, hardly anything has changed. And the truth of the matter is, Madam Speaker, the world is changing. If you can't invest in commercial diplomacy, frankly, you're going to be weak. Your influence in the world is going to be minimal. I just wonder what goes on, Lord, really, with our colleagues in government, not to understand that the survival of our nation, the ability for Uganda to remain a member that is respected among the community of nations, that failure explains why we continue to ask for resources for these missions. I would want to propose, Madam Speaker, finally, that this House takes it upon itself to fundamentally have a look at the state in which our missions are in. It's in our interest that we have missions which are very well represented. We have men and women who are eminent and able to be the correct face of this nation, but that something is going wrong. Can I therefore suggest, Madam Speaker, that you consider allowing Parliament to have a critical look at the state our missions are in? Thank you.
Thank you. Much as we really want to have a critical look on our missions abroad, there is also a financial constraint. You cannot be able to send people to all the missions, and still we ask finance to provide for that. Yes. Zombo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair of the Committee on Foreign Affairs for the presentation. I also made some observations. One, investing in commercial diplomacy is a very important thing, and it should be a key thing in most of our diplomatic missions. This is very important because we need to build our economy, but from the local resources alone, we cannot do that. That's why we need to invest a lot in diplomatic, commercial diplomacy. Before I came to Parliament, I was working in Southeast Asia, especially the Mekong region, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos. We didn't have a presence of a diplomatic mission. We had only embassy in Kuala Lumpur and Beijing. And it is very difficult for Ugandan students who are there for you to get even visa in the Mekong region. You have to go to Kuala Lumpur. The good thing, you get visa there on arrival. But to go to Beijing, you need another visa. I'm happy that last week, His Excellency the President went to Vietnam to see, to interact with that country that is really focused on the economy, especially in the agricultural sector, focusing on rice and coffee and infrastructure. I think that country has moved, and I'm hopeful that a lot of initiatives were shared there that can help Uganda. Then number two, we have the World Trade Organization. We need the Ministry of Trade here and Foreign Affairs to really pay attention to the issues that go on at the World Trade Organization in Geneva. On many occasions I've observed, even when very important meetings are going on, Ugandan seat is empty. So we really need to focus on that so that we can really build our commercial diplomacy and also benefit and build the economy of Uganda. I want to thank the committee for the report.
Thank you. Okumu? Gabriel?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. When you called Zombo, we're all up. Thank you for remembering me. I would like to thank the chair for the report. However, I would like to ask the August House to particularly pay attention to our embassies abroad. Because if we have good embassies which will promote the image of the country, Right Honorable Speaker, even our agricultural produce will be able to face good prices in the world market. Today, I would like to inform the August House that because of our poor marketing, coffee prices are at a free fall at the global stage. And our farmers, 6 months ago, the price was at 12,000 approximately in Zombo, and today they are trading at about 7,000 within a space of about 4 months or 3 months. I think our missions, much as they are out there, the August House should give them priority to give them more budget, but also on their part, they should actually work for the people to make sure that our produce faces better prices. I beg to submit. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Goli. Then Soroti East.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And thank you for your presentation, the chair of the committee. What I want to mention clearly is that when you focus your attention on promotion of products, you must promote a product which has been produced. So what is happening is, what I would recommend is that your recommendation should touch the area of production so that it can be promoted. But when you say we are going to promote goods into UK, yet you have not made the goods be adoptive and can be exported, then you have not completed the recommendation. Further, you made the issue of airline. I think we should have an express recommendation which advises the airline of Uganda to try their best to at least support cargo exports, so that you have the airline. Let it have maybe combi space so that you can support the process, both of production, but also the logistical support for export. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we also need to find out if we have a written foreign policy. Soroti East.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the Honorable Fred Opolot and the Committee of Foreign Affairs for this good exposition of the report. Madam Speaker, I just would like to make a comment specifically on the matter in as far as remuneration and facilitation of foreign service officers is concerned. Madam Speaker, I was privileged to be in your delegation last year to the 5th Eurasian Summit in Moscow, at St. Petersburg. Madam Speaker, the foreign mission there in Russia was involved in a lot of commercial diplomacy. They had a lot of exhibitions about our coffee, about our agricultural product, and also trying to attract industries of Russia to Uganda. But when we interacted with the staff of the mission, one thing that struck us is that our foreign service staff still get a foreign service allowance of 4,000 United States dollars. If you're here, you might be alarmed and you think that's a lot of money. But again, when we questioned them, How much does it take you to rent an apartment? Mark you, that's an apartment, not a house. An apartment, for instance, in Moscow costs between 2,500 to 3,000 United States dollars. Remember, these people have families. They have to go ahead and also be able to subsist within such an economy. I suppose today, with the current sanctions in such a mission, it is even worse. Madam Speaker, the House should note here that these current foreign service allowances were determined way back in 2007. Uganda attempted to review foreign service allowances 2 years ago, but it was stayed. We therefore implore Parliament that as we debate this report, we must look into the aspect of facilitating our foreign service officers. Madam Speaker, I just wanted to comment on one more thing about equipping foreign missions. Many of my colleagues here in the House, whenever they arrive on a particular foreign visit, the first people they would like to see at the airport are the people from the mission. And I bet you anything, when you arrive there, we are all expecting them to accord us certain courtesies as VIPs of this country. But most of the time, these people cannot even afford beyond one vehicle that the ambassador is allocated.
Silwan, you stop distorting the ministers.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For instance, Madam Speaker, our mission in Rome has only one vehicle that is allocated to the ambassador. And sometimes when dignitaries from Uganda arrive at Rome, then the ambassador has to fix herself together with all the dignitaries from Uganda and others even including in the extra seats at the boot of the vehicle, because she would like to manage the VIPs from Uganda. These matters are very serious, and I believe that just like the way we allocate resources to some projects, some of which don't even return investment as well as growth in this country, we need to support our foreign missions, because the image that the people perceive of you is the one that determines, in their view, how serious you are. I thank you, Madam Speaker,
Thank you.
and I support this report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Byakatonda, Ivanda. Members, 1 minute.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. That a very important aspect that can actually contribute to nation building and foreign exchange. However, you find that one, we need to ensure that at least these embassies and the excellencies therein can think of avenues. Because me as a human resource officer, we want to see that they exceed the requirement in terms of performance. For example, can they really look at avenues where you can have a catalog, where you can actually have exports going to these countries? Right Honorable Speaker, one time I was on the seas of London and I saw a jackfruit. When I looked at the price tag there, they were saying 149 pounds, which translates into about $70,000 here, I think. How much? Shillings. It was 149 pounds. Yes? So, Right Honorable Speaker, it's 149. Pounds, 149. That's it. Okay, whatever the computation. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would urge that we really need to look at these few things.
Whatever the figure is, because you're a human resource person, you're not an accountant.
That's very true.
Yes.
So, Right Honorable Speaker, because I think our participation as a government, as a country, we want to see how we can actually step up export promotions and reduce on imports. This would even increase employability. So I think you find that.
Thank you.
Thank
Members,
you.
we have a lot of opportunities outside there that we are not maximizing, and we need to do so. But we can only do that by also motivating our members, our staff who are in those embassies. Yes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I would want to take this opportunity to thank the chair of the committee for the good report. The Right Honorable Speaker, as per the Chair, the most important aspect is for these missions is to protect and promote the image of our country as Uganda. I had the privilege of traveling to Egypt, Cairo. We went to our embassy, the Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues. It's alarming. The ambassador took us around, see the structure, dilapidated structures where the ambassador is sleeping. Really, you say one mission is that you're going to protect, but what are you protecting when yourself you are in that sorry state? It was so disturbing. And two, our missions are not being facilitated to protect our citizens abroad. Many of our citizens are being ground up, put in jails, but when you ask the embassy, first of all, they have lesser staff, understaffed. The one who is serving, the one who is manning the gate as a security man, the one who is serving the embassy, why don't they have staff? So the issue of staff also, the Honorable Speaker, is very, very critical. And two, if the issue is about funds, why don't they merge? Because you see, we have the Embassy of Canada in TZ, but if you want the visa here, you get the visa from, why don't they merge? Do what you can manage. The other embassies should be closed so that we have those ones, the country that we can manage, than having many when we are not.
Thank you. We should be able to bite what we can swallow. Let's not take too much when we cannot afford to look after them. Elijah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to take up from where Honorable Herbert ended on the issue of the funding to the missions. And I want to bring it to the current ambassadors, high commissioners who have been appointed. I happened to be in Pretoria about 2 months ago. It is shocking that Minister of Finance has not released money to enable our High Commissioner to go and submit his letters to other countries in the region, because that mission covers 6 countries. Madam Speaker, we were with the Deputy Speaker in Mozambique. The High Commissioner could not come to Mozambique before he presents his credentials to the head of state of Mozambique to receive the Deputy Speaker in Mozambique. So, what is this so special with the Minister of Finance that it can consider this as consumptive? That's what. Right, Honorable Speaker, just concluding on that. I think the Prime Minister here must take it up. Good enough, the Minister of Finance is here. Are we serious when we are deploying our ambassador? It's now coming to 6 months. They have not left the mission to go and present their credentials to those countries that they are manning in the region. And it's not only limited to that. Even those that have gone to other countries, those in Tanzania who are supposed to cover the other regions, have not been able to travel to deliver, to present their credentials. So I think, Prime Minister, we call upon you that let finance release money. Because we budgeted the money, it could have been little, but it was budgeted for to enable those activities to be done. Let it not just be taken that they are conservative expenditures. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we want to move the House that finance releases the money and provide for those high commissioners, ambassadors that have not presented their credentials to the respective countries to do so. Thank you.
Prime Minister, when you look at the mandate of the high commissions, one of them is for them to protect the interests of Ugandans. And in protecting the interests of Ugandans, they must take care of the Ugandans, have interaction with the Ugandans who are living there for them to know what is happening. But the same case of what happened in Russia, there was a student who committed suicide. The embassy could not even afford to bring back the body of that student, and the student was on government sponsorship. So we need to be able to facilitate our embassies to operate within what they are supposed to do. Yes?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I picked a point from page 9 in regards to the residents. Right, Honourable Speaker, one of the basic needs according to Maslow concerns the provision of shelter. But right, Honourable Speaker, you realize that the High Commissioner is renting and paying £150 £50 per day. I was trying to compute. It amounts to about £54,000 per year, which translates to about 270 million per year. This is quite a lot. That's per bed.
You finish it?
How many beds are being rented? Right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, I concur with the recommendation of the committee that finance should consider giving money, because they were requesting only 608 million shilling to renovate the resident for the High Commissioner. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Actually, per month they are paying 22,500,000, and that is a little higher. So the issue of renovation will be more feasible. Yes, Saba Christo.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. When we talk about Uganda being represented in another country, I think we should also look at the human resource there, the quality of the human resource. We should have people who are well trained in diplomacy. It is very alarming that majority of the staff and the ambassadors, because an ambassador is called His Excellency or Her Excellency. That means is representing the whole country. Somebody who doesn't know diplomacy to represent a whole country, I think the appointing authorities should also...
That's a general perception. Which ones lack diplomacy?
Most of...
No, it shouldn't be most of them. Just give us an example of a country. You may not mention a person. Give us an example of a country and say country X, country B.
But Right Honourable Speaker, I think
that's a sweeping statement.
It is sweeping, but in most cases you'll find that those maybe who have failed somewhere are the ones who are appointed as ambassadors somewhere.
No, we have credible ambassadors. We have credible ambassadors. You cannot say that our ambassadors lack diplomacy. It's just like saying that MPs are all, they are all what? Equivalents. No, we are not equivalents. You understand? Don't call everybody that they lack diplomacy. They do have diplomacy. They go through a vetting process for them to go there, and they are vetted and approved by this house. Unless if you're telling me this house has a problem. Because we are the ones who approve them. Imat Cecilia. The next, I've seen the members who are standing. You'll debate on the next item.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, this is a very important matter, and I just want to touch on a few issues. I thank God that Honourable James Usababuturi is here, Elijah Cooper. Right Honourable Speaker, I want this Parliament to know that the Foreign Affairs building you see now was driven by Parliament. We decided that Foreign Affairs must move away from that old wretched building and give a good image for our foreign affairs. We work hard to make sure we have today a foreign affairs building which presents the right image of this country. Right Honourable Speaker, if you go to Washington, D.C., You find that in the ambassador's office, there are buckets collecting water if you go when it's raining. I went there and I found buckets collecting water there. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm just giving you information. Right, Honorable Speaker, I was in Brussels. In Brussels, actually, our building was already blacklisted for criminal hideouts. And we had to work hard to make sure that we pulled out money to rehabilitate that place. Right, Honorable Speaker, recently when the Queen died, I was in the UK. You are the one who sent me there. And I saw this place. Can you imagine? Ambassador doesn't have a heating system when it is winter, -degrees. And I mean, what is going on? And London is our key center. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Right Honorable Prime Minister and myself and Peter Guang were in China. A very prime land with free loan was given to us to develop property. Nobody has taken action. Are we really serious? So I think really, Right Honorable Speaker, look for the strategic plan for the foreign affairs. We need strategic plan so that we know where we are going. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, and we should have a policy which is written. We don't have a foreign... Honorable Prime Minister, let's first hear from Lope, then Prime Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I will commence with the one of the national...
Honorable Haji, issues of works are coming in and you are the shadow.
I think
Shadow, I want you in.
I applaud the UK mission for the good working relationship between them and the Ugandans living in the diaspora, Madam Speaker. They are reputed for mobilizing our diaspora citizenry for development through their remittances, investment, PPP, and skill transfer. But, Madam Speaker, there is a serious, grave concern from our Ugandans in the diaspora, especially when it comes to the fact that they do not participate in the governance of their country. Madam Speaker, it is this enfranchisement that has been occasioned on them, given that we have not fast-tracked the Constitutional Review Commission to have an amendment in the Constitution so that they are allowed to exercise their right and the privilege to vote for their leaders. Madam Speaker, lastly, the issue of lack of a well-documented national foreign policy is a serious concern because it is a serious impediment on the realization of our National Development Plan 3. And I don't know why the government is in limbo over something in the cemetery. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Number one, we need to know what is happening with the national foreign policy, whether we have it or not.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable
Including
Speaker.
the charter.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank the committee for a good report. It's a good guiding document. And thank you so much, Chairperson and the whole committee. And also want to thank you, Speaker, for according them time. Members, we have a foreign policy, but it's not written. But it's guided by the Constitution, but what you are demanding of us is to have it written, go through the whole process, and laid on the table in Parliament. I want to take that up because it is something that we ought to have done years before.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Prime Minister for allowing this clarification about the unwritten foreign policy. I wanted to know from among the government officials and
there
ministers.
is no an unwritten policy. There is no policy.
No,
there is no policy.
So I wanted to know in whose brain is this among the ministers here, so that we can.
There
then
is no
know.
policy. Right, Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members.
Anyway, we need a policy, a written policy.
Yes, Right Honorable, most obliged. Right Honorable members, the report has given us good, the recommendations are good, and we all desire for that. When it comes to issues of rehabilitating the embassies, you have appropriated funds, and this has been going on. What we require is that we should speed up, since the competition in the world, especially in making sure our interests as a country are really covered in all the areas where we have embassies, especially issues to do with the commercial diplomacy, where we have to look at trade and labor. We must look at this and give it priority. You have appropriated funds here. That's why our UN house in New York was rehabilitated, because you appropriated funds. And as we talk now, it is also happening in Nairobi, our High Commission in Nairobi. Now that is the phase where we are. So the issue to do with the export, our interests in trade and whatnot, members, I agree with you. Let's have our policy implemented, adding value to our products, because that's how we shall be able to implement the import substitution policy. When you look at the...
Maybe before we say let's have it implemented, let's have it first. We don't have a policy. Let's have a policy in place first, then we implement it.
But Right Honorable Speaker, I've said that 3 times for the time I've been on the microphone. And there is no other word that I can employ other than most obliged, which I've already used. I need guidance to this then.
Let's have the policy first, then we implement it and we do the business.
But Right Honorable Speaker, what I was saying is that the price of the coffee beans may go down, but not the price of brewed coffee. The price of cocoa beans may go down, but not the price of chocolate.
Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, my young sister, who is now the Prime Minister today, she's my younger sister, please. I'm the one who knows, not you. Right Honorable Speaker, she's trying to justify that there is actually a policy which must be implemented, and you have labored to explain to her that there is no policy. Can I therefore procedurally advise, or probably you can guide us as to why we should give money to foreign affairs unless we have a policy to guide us where that money is going to go? Is it therefore procedurally right for this foreign affairs ministry to continue asking for money for development, for recurrent budget, when actually they don't have a policy? Is it procedurally right, Right Honorable Speaker?
Prime Minister, we need a policy in this house before we go to the budgeting process.
Right Honorable Speaker, most obliged. I want to, Right Honorable Speaker, to say I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, honorable members and the Prime Minister, for supporting the report. And when you look at this report, it cuts across so many missions, almost all the missions. I now put a question that the report of the Committee of Foreign Affairs on oversight visit to the Ugandan High Commission in London, United Kingdom, be adopted with its amendments. Those in favor say and to control and nay. The ayes have it. Executive, please prepare and bring action taken on all the issues that have been raised on this as per Rule 2020. Thank you.
Item 3, presentation of action taken report on resolutions of the 11th Parliament, May 2021 to May 2022. 3.1, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives.
Thank you so much. You know, the Minister of Trade is one very, very royal minister. He's always here even before anybody. Very consistent minister. We want to thank you first of all for that. And next time when we go for an award, actually when we are going for Christmas dinner, we should have awards so that we can be able to give you an award. So can we look at the issues that were raised, decisions taken and actions taken?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. I want to invite colleagues to page 47 of the report of the Leader of Government Business, which was uploaded regarding actions taken by government on resolutions of the 11th Parliament.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.